What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with your one and only rock star on the mic, David Duane, in the place to be. And right here, we have this phenomenal, exceptional woman who I absolutely admire. If you guys don't know who Latoya is, listen, you guys got to find out. And you guys are about to find out because Latoya has the BBM agency, and she has this amazing platform as well. Everything Girls Love. And she's just been doing amazing things within the space of marketing, uplifting women, not just Black women, but just all women, and using her voice and her platform to uplift people. Toya, I gotta say, it is so great to have you on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me. And thanks for being persistent because David's been trying to get me to do this interview for some time now.
Yeah.
And I've been avoiding it. But, when somebody keeps popping up in your inbox every week, you got to say, eventually you're going to open it and you're going to read it and you're going to say yes.
Right. And then Instagram too.
And Instagram and DMs, yeah, it wasn't just.
Once you follow me back on Instagram, I'm like, oh, we get it close.
I'm getting closer, right? Yeah.
Andy was like, reach out to Toya so that you can get me and you can get her too. I'm like, cool, we're gonna get there. But I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to speak with us today, just about the amazing things that you've been able to do. I know before we got started, we were just talking about utilizing your voice, being a woman, and not being also be afraid to talk about the things that are going on in society. You, Yandy, and Tamika do a great job at it. And I want to say thank you for being those women that aren't afraid to be on the front line to utilize your voice and speak what the truth is unapologetically.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, it's kind of like not something that you want to get a thank you for because it's just something that we all should do. We're not going to get to the point where we have equality and we end systemic racism unless we all fight for it collectively. It's going to take a collective voice for us to get where we got to go. So regardless of where you are in life, whether you're comfortable or not comfortable, as a whole and as a community, we're not where we need to be, and we all gotta put in the work. Everybody gotta do their part to push the needle so that we can ultimately have freedom.
Yeah. And how important would you say it is to push the needle and push a narrative, being a woman? Because now we're seeing a lot more women being vocal. We were always seeing it, but now women have such this really strong force that even men, we are yearning for the voice of a woman at the forefront of every decision that has to be made in today's time.
I think it's just that women are we're part of it. Even though the men are the most affected, when you talk about police brutality and mass incarceration, but women are affected also. The whole family is affected. Those men have mothers and sisters and daughters who lose their dad or their brother or their uncle, and we're affected. The family unit is affected. The whole family structure is broken. And so I think it's like to a point now where women are like, the men need our help. They're being targeted, and we're targeted as well, but not as much. And so it's and people are more comfortable with women. They're more. It's more likely that we're gonna be allowed to have a seat at the table and allowed in the room. And so it's our job when we get into those places that we advocate. We advocate for our community. We advocate for the men in our lives. We try to push the needle and change things.
Yeah. And what point did you, Yandy, and Tamika decide that these times were the most important to kind of get involved with that? Was it just like a discussion that you guys had as amongst, just kind of witnessing people that you guys know, like Mendices being incarcerated? Or what exactly sparked the flame to that?
Well, Tamika has been an activist for her whole life. Tamika has 25 years in the movement. She worked with Reverend Al Sharpton in the Action Network, and this is her life. This is what she does. So I would say Tamika working with Tamika has brought us more on the forefront. But Yandy and I both went to Howard University. It's a historically Black college, and I don't think you can graduate from Howard and not be woke. We have a few
a lot of
that do, but it's just like in our blood, But it was more of a quiet activism. I think that once we became friends with Tamika, she activated us. Like, she just has that power. She activates the people around her. She makes you want to do more, and not just do it quietly, but use whatever resources and whatever platform you have to kind of shout it from the rooftop and do as much as you can. So I would definitely credit her to the reason why you see us as vocal and as in the forefront as we are. But it's always been in us and been in us.
Yeah, no, but I love seeing it that, you know, Tamika, you met y'all met all three of y'all met each other and just was like, you know what, let's just do this together. Like
Yeah.
it's within us all, and let's do it as women and build each other up while through the process.
And we all bring different things to the table. So, you know, Tamika definitely activated us in terms of activism, but Tamika also needed a Brandon, you know, as
Yeah,
for herself as an activist, and just as the person and the phenomenal speaker that she has. So she needed management, and so we helped her out in that aspect, and then she helped us out in the aspect of, you know, making sure that we use, again, our resources and our platform effectively to kind of push the needle in any way that we could.
right. And let's talk about that. The BBM agency, like, I know you came from corporate world back in, and then in 2007 you stopped when you found out your son was deaf, and you really took a leap of faith. Most importantly, you took the responsibility as a parent to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that he was good. And during that time, and just, you know, finding out the unfortunate, what kept you going? Just, you know, to stay strong, not only for yourself but for your child, and to just kind of keep, you know, some type of um light going for yourself.
Well, I'm married, so I have a husband who is phenomenal. We have known each other since the sixth grade, and he is my business partner and my best friend. So, in anything in life, like, he keeps me going. He's
Right.
incredibly supportive. And when that happened, when we found out that our son was deaf, it was a family thing. You know, it wasn't just me handling it on my own. It was me and my husband and our moms and our extended family. So my family, I would say, really is credit them with being able to help us push through. But just in general, my personality is that's just my personality. Like, I'm not I'm not the person to get stressed out about things often, or to get depressed. Even
Yeah.
if I do get sad for a second, it's kind of like the next day is like, okay, now how are you gonna fix it? You know, what are you gonna do to fix it? Let's, you know, put our big girl panties on and figure it out. So we were sad by the news, you know, because you kind of just think about the quality of life that your child can have. So sad for a little while, but then we started to do research and figured it out. And luckily for us, we had extended family that we can lean on and depend on, and allow for us to take the time to kind of figure it out.
Wow, yeah. And it's good that you had family to like support you guys through that process as well, because of when people go through certain things like that, just hearing unfortunate things, which can definitely be, you know, there's things that you can do to help that child or help that family member. It definitely is like discouraging at sometimes, because you're like, okay, so what exactly do I do? I need support mentally to help
Mm-hmm.
me get through this while I'm dealing with this.
Yeah, definitely mentally. You definitely need the support. Support has a lot to do with it. It can be the difference between somebody making it and somebody not. Like, you know, even when you have family members that go to prison, you know, the ones that make it and the ones that end up reoffending, the big difference is whether they have support or not when they come home. Do they have a family member that they can go and stay with and that can offer them financial support while they get back on their feet, while they find a job? If they don't have that, chances are they're going to end up in the street again, reoffending. So support plays a big part in our lives in general, and not just with your family, but as a community. You know,
Yeah.
we have to be able to support each other and give each other grace as a community.
Absolutely. So in corporate America, what were you doing prior to, you know, building this empire? Both of these empires that you got to have.
So I wouldn't necessarily call it corporate America. It was a 9 to 5, but I've always worked in what I like to call the creative space.
Okay.
So I worked in production. I worked at BET. I worked in public relations. And immediately before I went into full-time entrepreneurship, I was working in the fashion industry as a production manager. So it wasn't necessarily like Bank of America corporate, but it was a 9 to 5. Still, I still had a boss. I still had to answer to someone, but it was a real relaxed environment, real relaxed creative environment. So I was a production manager, which basically meant that I had accounts. Most of them were urban accounts, so I had like Sean John and Fat Farm and Ralph Lauren, and I was in charge of their production, the production that they had with my company. I worked for a sweater manufacturer, and we would produce their sweaters for them. So we would do trend forecasting, kind of tell them what was coming up for the next year, help them pick out styles, and then actually help them produce the items within cost.
Oh,
So
wow.
like, we use this kind of, we might find a $10,000 Versace sweater that they say, okay, we want one like this. So we would figure out how to get that sweater in a price point that worked for whatever the brand was. So by sourcing different types of yarns and trims, buttons, zippers, all those kinds of things. So that's what I did. It allowed me to travel. I traveled a lot to Asia, to go to factories and do visits. And it was
ask you about that too.
yeah.
I did read that you did a lot of like, especially out in China, to just like
Yes.
do all that.
So yeah, it was good. It was great. I loved my job. It was fun. Again, I worked for like, I would say it was a creative environment. So it wasn't like punch in at this time, punch out at that time,
Yeah.
It was a great job. And had I not had, the adversities that I had, I probably would still be in that field because it paid very well and it had a lot of perks. But I'm happy that, my life took the turns that it did, because had it not, I wouldn't be here today.
Right. And it's good that you got that initial training and introduction to what you would be doing now with your own agency, because it's like that one thing about you is the marketing, the strategy, the digital concept and all that stuff. You grasp that to a whole T, which a lot of people who even run companies themselves in agencies don't understand that marketing has to be on point. Your management for your client has to be on point. And there's no stepping when it comes to you, Toya, and what your company does whatsoever.
Yeah, no, because that's directly, the marketing directly is directly related to your sales and your revenue. So, you can have something that's really popular and then it has organic growth, but at a certain point it's gonna stop, and or it's gonna plateau, which means you're not growing, you're not increasing your revenue. That's why companies like McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's, no matter how popular they are, you still see them making commercials, introducing new products. You still see marketing regularly, because that is the only way that the company is going to stay relevant, that they're going to attract new customers regularly, new age groups regularly, and that they're going to keep growing. So the marketing is essential. A lot of people don't like to spend money on marketing, but you can kind of tell the size of, where a business is going by how much they care and invest in marketing.
Yeah, and it's so important. You have to have marketing with every product, every brand. Like there's no half stepping. You might be able to get away with not having some PR. I'll give you that. But that marketing and that branding has to be on point. Your strategy within the content has to be on point too. So did you go to college for marketing?
No, I went for communications. I initially wanted to be an attorney, but then quickly realized that I was a political science major, and quickly realized that wasn't for me. And so I did communication. So no, I didn't. Didn't go to school for marketing, but it just came naturally to me, especially in the digital world. As I started to build our own businesses, I just, it's just kind of figuring out what works, through trial and error and self-taught, and and actually being successful at building these different brands. There's a lot of marketing managers and things of that sort that went to school and may have degrees in marketing, but they haven't successfully built anything. So it's like, how can you tell me you're going to do this if you haven't done that? The things that you read in the textbook may not necessarily work for this particular company. So you have to constantly do research, constantly continue education. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of courses and classes, and I'm always reading. I'm always trying to figure out the trends and be innovative and figure out what's next and what's the next phase for my clients and for myself, because I have businesses myself. So when I learn something for myself, then I'm able to pass it along
to important.
The clients.
Yeah, and it's good that you said that because a lot of people who are marketing managers don't understand like you have to live to experience.
Yeah.
If you're pumping out knowledge and stuff like that, it's like, okay, where's your case studies? Like, how does this exactly work? Where do you think that we're getting at with this? Because a lot of
Case studies are so important. Like,
Mhm.
I'm big on case studies.
Because a lot of people like to talk a good game, but it's like, don't do that in the world of marketing. Like we want to
Yeah.
see, we want to see
Don't do that, period, with me.
yeah.
I'm always gonna ask you to back it up with facts and receipts. Like forever. Be like, okay, where did that come from? Where'd
Mhm.
you read that at? Who said that? Who's they?
Right.
So yeah, I'm a big facts and receipts person.
Right.
And
As we
case
talked about
studies.
keeping text messages and having a log, it's so important.
Yes. Yes.
And it's always good to like really constantly teach yourself too, because these textbooks, and I feel like everybody thinks that college is like the end all be all to how the business actually works. But it gives you the formal training, and you have to get out there and learn. You have to get out there and internship. You have to get out there and get that client, get that job experience, work a couple jobs, and then maybe try to go into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I think college gives you discipline.
Hmm.
Like I wouldn't trade my college experience for the world. I think it helped me mature a lot, and it gives you discipline. It gives you a lot of book sense, and it gives you the foundation to know how to do research and things of that sort. But nothing beats experience. I would hire someone with years of experience over someone that is fresh out of college in a minute, even if they don't have a college degree, because it's just like that, especially in this age where with technology, it's really about just knowing what having your thumb on the pulse of what's popping. Knowing how to sell things to your audience and what they're gonna respond to.
No, that's important. So when you and Yandy got together and stuff like that and just started to build more on this company, just kind of walk us through like what that exact journey was, because I'm sure you guys went through highs and lows, and still as women, with utilizing the skills that you guys know, and then working with different clients, and then taking it and building everything girls love as well too. There were some highs and lows as well.
I wouldn't really say there were any lows.
Mhm.
We just because we didn't have any expectations. Like when you start something without expectations, you really can't have any lows. It started off when Yandy was become going from behind the scenes as a producer to being on camera for I Love Hip Hop. She called me and she said, "I'm gonna be on the next season of Love and Hip Hop. I'm gonna actually be a cast member, and I want to make sure that when I do that, I'm promoting a business. I don't want to just be on there and not have a business." So she wanted to do an accessories line, and at that time, I had just started an accessories business with one of my other girlfriends. And so I was like, well, we have this accessories business that we're already doing. I'm not going to start, help you start a business, which I'm already doing over here. Let's just merge them together.
Right.
And so we merged them together. We came up with a new name, which is Everything Girls Love. And we launched it as an accessories line. If you go all the way back, you'll see we were selling jewelry, really dope jewelry. But once we started selling the jewelry and just engage, at that time, Instagram had just started, like literally.
Instagram was like a whole
We
thing.
were on
Y'all
Facebook and then we started Instagram. And so just because of who Yandy was and her being so young and being in music management, she just would get a lot of questions regularly from women. Like, how did you do this? I need advice about this. And we were like, oh, well, women are coming to us now asking us for like, how did you start your business? They were asking for information. So we said, okay, well, we need to create a place where we could, engage with them. So instead of it just being a shop, we turned it into actual platform that had a blog, and it was a
Yeah.
lifestyle so people could
I
shop,
can
but then it
love
had
the
the
blog.
EGL blog. And then the blog just consisted of everything that mattered to us, like everything goes up. So we had beauty, fitness, career advice, love, relationships, all of those things. And so then that was it. We had the blog for a while and we had the jewelry. And then it was like, okay, how can we bring these women together in real life so that they could interact and they could communicate and they could, actually network with each other and help build each other up. So
Yeah.
then we did EGL events, which were girls love events, and we started doing those. And those were really, really popular women's empowerment events. We started them in 2014. We probably did them consecutively for about 4 years. And so it was like a full-fledged lifestyle brand. And then we just grew from there. We started to produce our own content, you know, for shows, because we wanted some feel good shows that show Black people in a great light.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any out there, so we started to write and produce our own content. So EGL then grew into EGL Entertainment, which includes all of those things. And in the midst of all of that, I launched the BBM agency because I became Yandy's manager, you know, through this. So I became her manager. And as her manager, then a lot of people that were around me would ask me to manage them, like Tamika, you know, and Jamila and other people. So then I grew as a manager. And then I just started to, part of managing, when you manage talent, it's about brand management. So it's not just about like scheduling, it's about how can I expand your brand? How can I help you start other businesses? You know, even for artists nowadays, you want them to have longevity, you want them to have multiple streams of income. So it's about building businesses for them. So I started to work with my clients and building other businesses, and just taking the knowledge that I have from that and giving it to other women. And other women would contact me like, oh, well, can you do brand management for me? And so then it just kind of like snowballed just like that. It wasn't anything that we sat down intentionally and said, you know, we're going to do this. It just was like, let's go. And then every time something came along that we figured we thought we could add to the portfolio, we did. Yeah. And this, you know, this is what you have today.
Wow. And you know what? It's amazing. And it has been so amazing to see like that journey for y'all, like over these years, from the jewelry, then to the blog, and then to the events. Them events were popping. I seen them all on social media. I was like, come on. And,
yeah.
it was really good to see women get together in a space and really network.
And it was all about collaboration, you know. Yeah. So yeah, we talked about this year just recently that we were going to do those events again, because it was a real feel good time, and we need to get some of that back.
So have you guys thought about doing some of the events like virtual as well too, until we get to that period where we're able to
we've thought about it, but it's just we're so busy, you know, especially like right now. So I think for 2021 we'll look into doing some virtual stuff, and then eventually doing the live events again. It just like those live events took a lot of work. Like a lot of work.
I imagine it's a lot
of work. And we were doing like a whole weekend worth of events. So like it were day events, night events, like, and just doing it all on our own, from the venues to the logistics to the food it was a lot of work.
Yeah, I know, because I put together some events, and now I'm doing my industry conversation, hanging on something, and just even though that's virtual and stuff like that, but just taking the same elements in that preparation and this person, and even
and the tech checks and all that other stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. And the reaching out, the getting the gift bag, the product sponsors. It's just that in and of itself is a whole business, which is really why we stopped, because we just got so consumed with other things that we just didn't have time to do the events. But Yandy's like, well, maybe we can bring somebody on just to focus on that. So maybe we'll get them going again.
Call me
in 2021.
Call me 2021.
David gonna be on my line. Hey, did y'all think about them events yet? Again?
Right, but I'll be like, look, Toya, it's February, but where we at with these?
What we doing? Yeah,
like I got some dates lined up. You'd be like, wait, what? But no, I think it's important to like continue that, because women really love it, and I think that, like you said, everything was done in an organic sense. Even from, you know, building BBM agency and then becoming a manager and stuff like that. And brand management. Can we go back to talk about brand management? Because I think that there is a lot of up and coming managers that don't understand the importance of brand management. So let's talk about that, just the importance of it, and how important it is to really expand your client's brand, so that longevity really doesn't just last, quote unquote, for 2 years, where it's long lasting. It's that 15 to 20 year expanse. So then when it comes to 25 year, then we're going to 45, and then, you know, then from that point, generational wealth as well too.
I think brand management is figuring out where you want to end up and setting the course for that, right? And it's different when you do it for individuals and for a business, but it in a sense is the same, because it is, what do you want people to think about and feel when they think about your business, you know? And if you're a person, you are the business. Right. So what do you want people to think and feel, and where do you want to position yourself to be, you know? So like with Yandy, we when we started at the very beginning, we always said we want to position her to be a woman's empowerment speaker and expert. We wanted her to be an expert on all things women. So everything that we did it with that brand in mind, and we avoided things that we thought would be a conflict. The one thing that that could have been a conflict was Love and Hip Hop, but Love and Hip Hop gave her the platform, and we just maintained the integrity of her brand and who she was throughout. As much as we could, we tried to. There was plenty of times where she wanted to jump up on the table and smack somebody, but she was like I can't do that,
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm out here telling little girls, which is another part of our brand that we didn't talk about, which is EGL PUD, which is Partners Uplifting Daughters and Sons, which is our nonprofit organization, mentoring young girls and boys to kind of try to avoid some of the pitfalls that a lot of us get caught up in.
Oh wow, yeah, I love that, especially the PUD, because that's one of Yandy's words that she always.
And that's where it came from, PUD. That's why we made it PUD. And then we made it an acronym. So it stands for Partners Uplifting Our Daughter and Sons. It was PUD first, but then we added the boys in, so we turned it into PUDs.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And it has so much uplifting. So being able to also do a nonprofit and then focus into children as well too, just so that we are keeping our youth at the forefront of our mind, especially while we're in this crazy pandemic where kids are at home.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going outside as much. They might go on the stoop or in the backyard or wherever you at, but it's not much of that interaction. So just having such a program in a nonprofit, how important is it to just kind of keep children at the forefront of our minds?
It's super important, because I always say that the difference between the kids that make it and the ones that get caught up in the statistics are the fact that the ones that made it had a mentor at some point. Whether that mentor was a mother, a teacher, a neighborhood friend, they had somebody that took the time to pour into them and to show them that there were other options. So it's I think it's important for everybody in the community to be that person for a child in your life, at least one, and not your own children, of course, but outside of that, because some people just ain't built like that. They're not built to be good parents and to be mentors. And if you can kind of pull another child under your wing and just give them a little bit of game, it'll go a long way.
Yeah, because like you said, a lot of parents aren't fit to be parents in that sense. They might love their child to the world, but they might just have a little bit of things where they can't fully give the same thing that somebody else can give. And that's not a put down, but to be able to put a child in some type of mentorship in the program where they can receive that and get that confidence like that, it helps even the parent too.
Yes, I agree.
So I just love the fact that you guys have been really able to expand. So what else can we expect in 2021 from you guys? I know Tamika's getting ready to release her amazing book. What other things can we expect? Because y'all don't stop at all.
We have some shows coming in 2021, hopefully, God willing. Television is a whole animal in and of itself. So we have some things in work that we feel like the community will be proud of. We're growing the BBM agency, growing EGL, growing Yale Skincare. Tamika is growing with the podcast and the books. And then I have some other businesses and ventures that I'll be launching in 2021. I'm more of a for 1 year anniversary type of person. I don't like, like people like to do grand openings. I don't necessarily like to do grand openings and talk about things a lot until they actually come to fruition. Then I celebrate them. But we do have some plans for some great things. I want to release a product. I think everybody needs to have a product, something that you can sell in your sleep, whether it's a tangible product or it's a digital product, like a webinar or something like that. You need to have that. I have built lots of that for my clients. And so I'm looking forward to building that for myself. Both of actual tangible product and digital products. I have both in the works, so that's going to be something new and interesting. And then we have something that's coming that I think is going to be innovative. That's digital. That it's going to give a lot of small businesses a third way to allow their customers to shop.
Right. And what kind of advice do you have for a young entrepreneur that is trying to navigate the lane of entrepreneurship? They might be, maybe there's different creative things they might be doing. Maybe they want to get into the hair and beauty world. Maybe they want to get into entertainment. What type of advice would you give to that man or that woman that really wants to get into that entrepreneurship role?
I would say just do it. Like do your research as much as you can, but most importantly, just start. Start if you want to do hair, start doing hair. Start doing your cousin's hair and your auntie's hair. Make sure that you take good pictures. Nowadays cell phones are just as good as an expensive camera. Take good pictures, create content, post it on social media. Be intentional that you want to start a business. Give your business a name. Go maybe get it registered as a business and just start. Everybody started somewhere. Like I said, when we started EGL, we didn't know that it would be 10 years in, and we didn't think about it that far. We just thought about, we're going to start this business. Let's get these first few styles. Let's see how that goes. And then as things start to move and start to grow, you just adapt where you need to, and keep building. But a lot of times people think about things so long in their head, and they think that they need a whole lot and they got to be perfect, or they want this grandiose start, when you can just start where you are. My best piece of advice would be to don't think about a product and then try to find the customers for it. Think about the customers you have access to. So who is in your network, and if you and what are they missing? What's something that if you created it today, or if you sold it today, those people that you have immediate access to would buy? Like that's where you should start, because the hardest thing to do is to get this idea in your mind that, oh, I live in Alaska and I want to sell bathing suits. You're like, we live in Alaska. It's
Right.
dead of winter. Who's buying your bathing suits, right? So, but if you had an ice shovel, that might work, a little bit better. So it's kind of think about your network, and either fill a void or create a product that people want to buy like right away. That is a necessity, and just go for it. And beauty is ever growing. That's an evergreen business. There's always more people that need their hair done, nails done, makeup. So that is a lane that pretty much anybody can get in and win with just a little bit of ingenuity and consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to everything that you guys are getting ready to drop in the new year, in this new year. Because
and then I'll be back to talk about them once they drop.
yes, you have to be, because I'm gonna be like, Toya, come on.
I know. Toya, Tiffany, Vlad, you're gonna be on everybody's line.
Not everybody's line though. But Toya, I definitely want to say thank you so much for being available to chat, because I definitely wanted to know more. But I think that what you guys have been able to do was definitely something that young women, young men, just anybody who is a dreamer definitely needs to hear, because you guys are doing it and they can do it too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's the biggest takeaway, is that just start where you are. And entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's definitely more difficult than a 9 to 5. It is unpredictable. Being your own boss is great, but you are your own boss. You don't have a steady paycheck. You don't have vacation days. You don't have sick leave. You have to work for it, but the reward, once you get a good pace and things start coming in, is worth it. It's worth all the hard work.
Absolutely. So Toya, we ask all our guests this amazing question, and I see all the positive affirmations behind you. So this is a good time to ask you, as a mother, a friend, a wife, and a businesswoman, what are some of the things that you exemplify?
I think I would say that I exemplify hard work and persistence and confidence. So I think those are 3 things that you need. Like the confidence to walk in the room, and even if I don't know how to do something, to be like, oh yeah, sure, I know how to do that, and then leave the room and figure out how to do it and make it exceptional. And I always pride myself on over delivering, what people ask for. So I always go above and beyond. And then and hard work. Like, I am the person that's going to wake up early, stay up late, work on the weekends. As an entrepreneur, when people have office hours, I don't really understand that.
Yeah,
because
you're like office hours where?
Even though you do need balance, let me just say, as I've gotten older, you do need balance, right? You need to carve out time for family, but sometimes it's like this. Like sometimes the family gets this much, sometimes the family gets is down here. But at the end of the day, it's all worth it because I'm able to provide a great life for myself and my family, and we're doing good, so I can't complain. But yes, I would definitely say persistence and confidence and hard work. All those two things, if you have those three things, I think that makes for a good entrepreneur.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, I love the fact that you said that. And Toya, thanks again so much for this interview. And most importantly, congratulations on just everything that y'all have been doing and what you guys continue to do and just uplifting people. I think that's amazing.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let people know where they can follow you on social media, where they can follow the BBM agency and everything Girls Love.
Girls Love. So you can follow me at Bonded Forever, BONDED, the number 4 ever. The agency is the BBM agency, and EGL is EGL Win Network. You can find us all on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter under the same handles.
They everywhere, so make sure y'all follow.
Follow.